Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and I'm joined by Michael J. Russ, the amazing co-host. I am so thrilled that you're with me. And Michael, you just inspire me so many different times, and you made a comment about a quote that I posted on Instagram, and the quote reads, "If you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done." And Michael said that that would be a really wonderful show to do a quote about, and I couldn't agree more. I just, you're so much in sync. So let me welcome you first and say hello, and then we can sort of delve right into this topic.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
It's a great day. You're also incredibly inspiring. I don't want to think of it as a one-way street. It takes two to tango, and this show has you, and it wouldn't be what it is without you. So I would say that you have some magic rolling with you. And this quote is, sometimes you just come across something that it's sticky, something sticky. And it's sticky in the sense that it sticks in your mind and in the forefront of your mind. And it makes you think about all the things in the past that you've done that you had never done before that helped you actually arrive at where you are today. Succeed or fail doesn't make any difference. There is no failure. It's just whether it turned out the way you thought it would turn out or not. Doesn't matter. The fact that it was part of your experience, your life experience, your journey up to this point, along the way, then you are the sum total of all your experiences and choices. So this is really deep when it comes to, this quote is really deep when it comes to really saying, hey, if I want to be farther than I am today, if I want my circumstances to change, then I am the one who needs to make a move into an area that I'm unfamiliar with. And I need to step out of my comfort zone and have faith in myself, trust that I can do whatever it is that I need to do, and to be comfortable in an uncomfortable space. And that's to me, that's fascinating. The concept of this is just incredibly fascinating. We could talk for hours and hours about this, experiential wisdom after experiential wisdom after experiential wisdom, about what you and I have done that has led to where we are now. And we have, in some sense, the two of us, as the show's been publishing, been on air, talked about various things that we've encountered in our lives and how those things made us feel at the time. And one thing is certain, I know, with me, and this is the way it goes. If you take a step off a cliff and you believe in yourself, you'll fly. You're not going to hit the ground and go splat. You're going to fly. Okay, you'll in some way, you'll figure out a way to progress and not to be in a situation that is detrimental to you. And I just know that. It's really interesting. I have a friend who his biggest challenge is trusting his own inner self, trusting his heart, trusting that he's making the right moves. And when he calls me and asks me, hey, what do you think of this? My response to him is, what do you think of this? What I think doesn't matter. What you think matters. I want you to learn to trust what you're thinking, what you're feeling. That is the most challenging thing for this gentleman. I think he's 38 years old, 39 years old, and he's kind of like he's always walking on thin ice. And I get a sense that a lot of people are like that as well. A lot of people, maybe our listeners, are like that. But there's a lot of people in this world who don't trust their decisions. And you have to make a decision, go with it, be responsible for it fully, assume 100% responsibility for it. If it doesn't work out, forgive yourself for having made that choice. It wasn't a bad choice. It just led you to a different place, a place other than you thought you would be. You forgive yourself, and you just move on. You make a different choice. We talked in the past about forgiveness and gratitude. And the other thing I say to my friend when things are going really well, and he calls me and gives me some good news, I said, have you expressed gratitude about this good thing that happened to you? Have you said, hey, I'm so grateful for this? Have you taken a moment to do that? And invariably he hasn't. He hasn't because he's moving too fast. He's moving 1,000,000 miles an hour. And he's focused on the event. He's focused on the event. That is what's driving his life, is the event. It's so interesting. And I've made attempt after attempt after attempt over the last 2 years to get him to slow down and focus on how he's feeling about the event instead of being caught up in the event. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it bad? No, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of how you feel about what you're involved in. Do you feel good? Does what you do make you feel good? And a lot of this is surrounding employment. He's in the restaurant field, and he's a server, loves being a server. I call him a ray of sunshine to people that come in. He's amazing. However, he doesn't trust himself. He doesn't trust what he thinks. He doesn't trust what he feels. He doesn't trust anything that's going on, and he needs outside acknowledgement that he's doing the right thing. And his mother acquiesces to that. She reinforces that. Instead of saying, what do you think? How do you feel? She interjects what she thinks he should do. And his uncle does the same thing. So I'm like, I talked to him, and I said, forget about what your mother said. Forget about your uncle said. What do you think? What do you feel? How does what you're doing make you feel? Because it's all about feelings. Mm-hmm. When you feel good about it, you know you're heading in the right direction. When you don't feel good about it, then you know you need to make a different choice. You know that's not the right thing for you. And so he's kind of fumbling through this whole thing. He's still got this, this question of, am I doing the right thing or whatever? And I get a sense that I'm the last person he calls after he's called his mother, his uncle.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe another friend. And I'm going, okay, fine. I don't mind being last in line. At least I can help you focus. I can be the last word, helping you focus in a different direction. I hate to say that, you're that you trust your heart, and then you call somebody else and they say, I think you should do that. I think you should do this. And I said, your mother wants to protect you. She wants to keep you from getting hurt.
Right.
The problem is you need to get hurt every once in a while to know, to have the contrast, in your life. If you never got hurt, then, or never felt bad, sad, upset, or angry about something, you wouldn't know the flip side. You got to have the contrast. This is how you work your way through life. You feel your way through life. And you need that contrast in order to get your bearings. In order to get your bearings, you need that contrast. And it is a problem that I find right now, because I know a few parents who don't want their kids to become involved in things because they're afraid that they'll feel pain, that they'll fail at whatever it is. And I said, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. If a child's journey through life has to involve all the emotions, this is how you learn how to be resilient. It's how you gain resilience. You're able to recover. And if you don't feel that in your most impressionable time in your life, if you don't have to deal with some of the tougher challenges in life early on in your existence, when you are impressionable, when you're being shaped by your reality, by the circumstances that you experience, then later in life you won't have those skills to engage when someone says something to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to protect the child from the bully, fine. Teach the child about what the bully's about. My nephew is gay. He's a senior at UCLA. Brilliant. I saw a video of him today. He was hired. He's actually the president, I think, of his glee club at UCLA. And they took second in the country amongst glee clubs.
That's fantastic.
This past year was unbelievable. Fantastic choreography, fantastic voices, singing, and the songs they chose. It was just spectacular. And so I saw this. I'll send it to you later, but it's a wonderful piece, and you can publish it on our Instagram. It's that short. However, he was hired by the producers of the next Perfect Pitch. I think it's 3. Perfect Pitch 3, the movie.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, he was hired by the producers to go and serenade the people who had just been chosen to be involved with the film, and he was sent to their house there was 3 of them, 2 girls and he, and they went to sing this little a cappella number for the stars, for the actors that had been chosen to be part of the movie. And I thought it was just brilliant. It was just fantastic. I'm listening to him sing with these other 2 young ladies, and it's just brilliant. It's absolutely amazing. And that he has chosen. Now, this is a gentleman a young man who is biological sciences major. What he's doing now is so far removed from what he's really interested in life. That
interesting.
It's like he's going to end up spending his time in a laboratory working out, solutions to things. And yet he's got this other side of him that's very artistic and always has been. And it's something that his mother, my sister, never stopped him from pursuing. She says, look, whatever you want to do. When he said he wanted to play soccer, he was, by the way, a brilliant soccer player, star soccer player. Could have gotten a scholarship to any school in the country. However, that's not what he chose to. That's not what he chose to go to UCLA for. By the way, he had Harvard and Yale, UCLA, UC Berkeley, all the top schools in the country wanted him. And he said, no, don't want to go to. He went to Harvard. Nah, I don't want to go here. It gets too cold. It's like I want to stay close to home. I want to, but UCLA is tops in biological sciences. That's what
Nice.
They have laboratories. They do stuff, in laboratories, and that's why he chose that particular school. Now, what's this have to do with if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. What's interesting is that's been his entire life, and I applaud him for it as a young man who is coming up in a world that is dominated by, digital stuff. And he's got tremendous feeling for what he wants to do. He came out here and stayed with us for 3 months and worked in my girlfriend's restaurant. They all loved him. His work ethic turned out to be unbelievable. You only had to tell him something once, and he knew it. He could regurgitate it. No problem. Give him instructions. Boom. He could just, it's just you're just amazed. More than anything else, he gave me a tremendous amount of hope in that generation. He did. I mean, it's like, okay, all right. I have a tremendous amount of hope for the future of this country, the world, whatever, because of young men like himself doing that, stepping into something he recognizes in order to get something, he's going to have to do a lot of things that he's never done. And he's a 4.1 student, high school and college.
That's fantastic.
Okay, he's got me beat. He's got me beat. I'm not going to say what my grade point averages once going to San Jose State, but I'll tell you what, he had me beat by a mile. Because I don't know, man. I don't know about you.
Everybody has their own path, Michael.
Oh, it's so cool. I just love it. So let me ask you, what do you think about this, and what does it bring to mind? What does this quote bring to mind for you?
I want to just comment on the first young man that you were talking about that makes a series of phone calls. So in my observation, and of course it's just my observation, in his heart, he truly knows the answer. He isn't empowered enough at this point to be able to recognize that. But when he gets the answer from his mother, he doesn't really like that answer, and so he reaches out to his uncle. And then he really doesn't like that answer, even though they're encouraging him and trying to keep him in a safe space. His heart is prodding him, and he's waiting for somebody to give him the approval. And so when he reaches out to you, finally, he's waiting for that approval, but he basically knows that you are giving his heart permission to make the decision that he truly wants to hear. And I think that's pretty amazing, and I really want to talk a lot about the heart when we delve into this. But I just couldn't help but think to myself, oh my goodness, how is it somebody's going to figure out on their own how to be free, how to truly release the bondages of whatever is holding them back to be able to do something that they've never done before and not regret it. And even if it doesn't work out the way they anticipated or hoped that it would work out, that they don't lose the courage to try again. And that, I think, is really where the magic is. I think when you were talking, and it's amazing that your nephew is so accomplished, but it all stems back to your family, and your mother never tried to keep you safe. And your sister and your brother and you all learn those skills that you share with other people, that it's okay to try and fail, and there's no shame in it. And to love yourself enough and be honest with yourself about what it is that's holding you back to allow yourself to overcome it. And I believe that is so important. I think to myself, we moved around a lot. I know you moved around a lot. And so one of the simple things when I was a child that everybody knows how to do is a cartwheel. Well, guess what? I didn't get that skill set. And I would watch these girls, doing these cartwheels, and they all seemed so free, and I was so self-conscious or embarrassed. I mean, I just sort of stood by the side, and they were all having fun, doing whatever gymnastics they were doing. So, but it wasn't until I was in 8th grade that I had the courage to say, guess what? I want to learn how to do a cartwheel, and I took a gymnastics class. I was probably one of the oldest kids in the class, and it wasn't too long before I was doing a cartwheel, and I was doing a walkover and a handspring. I didn't get too much into it after that, but I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And as a young child, my grandmother always did yoga, so I had some flexibility, but I didn't have that skill set. And I know it sounds like a trivial thing, but it meant a lot to me to be able to do that. And I think that, you wherever you are as a child or an adult, I don't know if it's pride, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, if it's pride that holds you back, or if is it fear of failure, or what do you believe that it is, Michael, that holds people back from doing something that they've never done before?
Oh, fear of the unknown is the biggest one. Fear of the unknown, fear of how it will work out, fear of it not working out. The unknown factor and the fear of having to deal with the consequences, the fallout of if it doesn't work. The main thing here being it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work out. I use golf as an example all the time, and quite frankly, in 4 hours, I'm going to experience a lot of that didn't work, and then I have to go figure out how to get myself out of the situation that I put myself in. And you learn to focus on recovery to bring the full force of your creativity, your imagination, your focus and attention to bear, and then your talents and skills as a result of that focus and attention to bear on solving the problem you put yourself in. And that is one of those things I love about golf. And when I talk golf, that's what I talk about. It's not every game has that. Some games, team games, yeah, you can make a mistake, and the team can, other people can make mistakes, and the team can lose. And a lot of times, people want to blame somebody else other than themselves. Golf is a singular sport. There is no team. There's just you. And you have to accept responsibility for everything. Just like life. In life, you have to accept responsibility for everything. And if you sometimes I think about it and I say, well, you can put it on a scale. If I do this thing, what's the benefit to me long term? What do I have to gain by doing it? And kind of do this sort of a pro and con thing. Draw a line down the middle of the paper and say, okay, if I don't do this, here's where I am. If I do this thing, what am I going to get out of it? Where am I going to go in life? Back in 20, heck, man, I'm 64 years old. In 1984, I had to make a decision about a career change. And the carrot for me was gaining the knowledge that would allow me to help people to mitigate their own fears and concerns and worries in their life. And by doing that, I would have the opportunity to make 5 times plus what I was making when I was managing a shoe store. And I'd work less hours doing it. Less hours. It was an opportunity. Did it scare the living blazes out of me? Absolutely. Because someone's saying, here, you can do this thing, give you all the resources you need, but you're going to have to do this thing first for yourself, and then once you come join us, you have unlimited income capacity if you follow all the rules and you work with people and you take your skills that you've developed over your lifetime and you put them to work, and you come out with an attitude that is it's about you and not about me. You have the ability to make whatever you want to make. You have an unlimited, an untapped, infinite capacity for abundance. The trick is that you have to go through these certain things. There's certain things you have to do that you said you'd never do before. You'd never do. And you have to get comfortable doing it. And in doing it, when I did it for 5 years, I set myself up to be able to be where I am today, 38 years later.
That's fantastic.
Every day I woke up. I say this in my Zero Versity book. I tell people, I say I woke up every day for the first year or two. Every day, my stomach would be, when I had to go to work, my stomach would just be torn to shreds. I was so worried about, because let me just step back for a second. There was no salary involved, no salary, no safety net. And I had to go to my wife at the time and say, okay, I'm going to quit doing this thing that has a salary. I'm going to go over here and do this thing that has no salary. I'm going to have to, bite the bullet. We're going to have to bite the bullet for, a year or so, and because I don't know what I'll make. And we're going to have to, cinch things up a bit financially. And to a lot of people, when I tell them that I still, on a daily basis, a monthly basis, 38 years later, have no idea what my income will be at the end of the month, the first thing they say is, I could never do that. I could never do that.
You're right.
I would be scared to death if I didn't know what it was that I was going to have coming in at the end of the month. Well, that's the price you pay for being able to live better than you did before. I live very well, and I do it, and it's because I believed in myself. And this is the thing. There was a pivotal point. I'd say for the first couple of years, I was my stomach was torn up. My stomach stopped being torn up when I realized that I was the one causing my own physical pain. Mm-hmm. I thought it was my outside circumstances. No. It has nothing to do with my outside circumstances. It has to do about how I'm interpreting and perceiving my outside circumstances. And this is what we do in life, is we allow our outside circumstances, outside influences, outside forces, you can call them any of those three, to dictate how we feel. Mm-hmm. And the challenge in life is always to be able to be the one in charge of how you feel. It's the ultimate challenge as a human soul, is to be in charge of how you feel, instead of allowing the illusion of what's going on out there control how you're feeling and what you deem yourself capable of in life. So there's nobody says, if somebody says, oh, I'm going to be the ultimate opportunity, you just have to step off into an area you're totally unfamiliar with. And you say, okay, and the first thing that goes through your mind is the fear of what it'd be like to give up the known, okay, for the unknown. And there's the carrot of you'll be able to live beyond your wildest dreams if you just take the step. And some people would literally turn it down because it wasn't a known quotient for them. Other people will take that leap, yet kind of hesitantly. And then others yet still will take that leap and jump in hook, line, and sinker with both feet. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because those three different ways of doing it are going to lead to three completely different outcomes. And the people I've known I've seen people, very smart people with PhDs, double masters, fail at what I do. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a degree. I left school in the middle of my third year. I went to go into business with somebody. And what's interesting is that, and I tell people, not everybody is meant to go to college. Not everybody is. You just have to get a sense of who you are and what you're doing. You're always going to be doing something. If you're living life right, here's what I have to say. Living life right, you'll always be in a position where you have to do something you've never done. If you're living life right, you will be putting yourself in that position all the time. Taking a risk, some people say, it is a risk, maybe. I think if you bet on yourself, you're always going to succeed. If you bet on other people to help you succeed, maybe you won't succeed all the time because you don't control other people. You do control yourself. You do control what you're thinking. You do control how you feel, and you do control your own resilience in life. So that's
your story, and you're sticking to
stories
it.
Like this. I got a zillion stories, but that's really the essence, the core of it. You're always going to be doing something that you have never done before. I told you this before I came here. I said I put together 2 stand-up heaters. Now they're not the first stand-up heaters I've ever put together. They're about the 7th and 8th stand-up heaters I put together, because the wind will blow them down, break them, and then you got to get rid of them because you can't trust them. So, because you're dealing with natural gas. So I love to challenge myself to put something together with the instructions. Can I do this? Can I do this right? I've never done it before. Can I do this right? These were a little different than the ones I put together before. However, I know people who will, there are people who have better expertise than you. If it's a skill you need to do something that has a lot of nuance, then it's really better to go find somebody who has those skills. I'm not saying you can be the jack of all trades. To me, that's just ridiculous to try and be the jack of all trades, even though we have YouTube today where we didn't 30 years ago. YouTube, you can find just about anything. And it's an awesome resource for putting things together. However, I'm going to flip this back on you because I want to know what you were thinking and feeling when you decided to go into the Airbnb business. Because I know that's what you do, and you didn't do it before. What was it like for you stepping into that unknown territory?
Well, first of all, I want to just comment on what you were saying because I believe you hit the nail on the head about we like our comfort, and a lot of us aren't willing to change because we don't want to delve into the unknown. And I have offered to mentor. I can't tell you how many people to do what I'm doing for nothing, absolutely zero charge. Yeah. And I'm like, this is all you have to do. It's very simple, and and I get the exact same response that you got. I could never do that. And my question is always, why? Why don't you have enough confidence to see yourself in that space or get out of your comfort zone? For me, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather came to this country with $25 in his pocket and built a successful business. And when my dad was growing up, and he got to the age where he wanted nice things, and my grandfather said, "Go get a job. There's a place in town. Go get a job." And he did. He got a job with a tailor. So my dad knew more about men's clothing than you could even shake a stick at. He was always dressed impeccably, but he had that work ethic. He always had a vision of trying something new, and this goes all the way back to 1979. My father had an idea to start a warehouse pet food store where you would have big bags of everything, and nothing existed like that at the time.
True.
And he got his brother involved that was a grocer and another partner, and they put this together. But fortunately or unfortunately, my dad's passion was hockey. It wasn't in the discount pet food business. And so he sold his share, and then his brother, who also didn't have as much vision, sold his share, and the man who continued on became a billionaire, which it's so interesting. But
You're kidding.
That's where I got my entrepreneurial spirit from. It became, and I watched my father sometimes, he'd always follow his passion. His heart was, he loved hockey. So he loved professional sports. But he always loved creating things. And later on in life, he sort of looked at the owners of the different sports teams, and they all made their money in real estate. So when I started first as a landlord. I bought a house and I redid it. It took me 6 months to redo it. I had a model that I worked with that I wanted my return on investment back in about 5 years. And I did enjoy being a landlord. However, about 3 years ago when this new opportunity for Airbnb, and I saw a lot of different things that were really positive about it. And there's some drawbacks as well, but I started to create these spaces, and I use the profits to fund my animal rescue efforts, and it feels really good. Awesome. I love knowing that the people that stay there are making a difference to the animals in the community and feeding stray dogs and cats and vetting them and everything else. So it makes me very, very happy. But I have offered to mentor several different people, and I really applaud you, Michael, because it does take a lot of courage to step out into that unknown and to sort of figure out what it is that's going to make you happy and to really be present. And I think you have to just start where you are, no matter what it is, and you walk through that door knowing that every day there's going to be something unexpected. And you might not have all of the answers to all the questions. I'm sure when you first started working with clients, they would ask you questions, and instead of giving them a made-up answer. You'd say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that. Let me find out for you. And that, for me, has always been one of the most empowering statements. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer at the moment, but I will find out. I think when you're willing to go that extra mile, it makes a difference. And that's how you start doing something that you've never done before. And I'm curious, did you have a mentor when you stepped out, or was it mostly they gave you a little bit of training and then set you off running? Is that about how it worked?
Initially had a mentor, but I went to work for a company, and it was a very supportive group of young people who I was working with at the time, and we were all supportive of each other. And so we knew that if we could help each other succeed, everybody would succeed. And that was
wonderful.
The coolest thing.
So you created a community.
Yeah, it was in essence a community. You weren't shoved in an office somewhere trying to figure it out on your own. It was a sort of an open source kind of thing, which is really rather cool. And that kind of thing right now, I don't think it exists today. It was a different time, it was a different place, a different era. However, the rules that we use to move forward matter. And when you were talking about your offer to mentor and being turned down time after time, the thing that came to my mind is the way you perceive yourself matters. The way you perceive yourself within the context of your situation matters. And this is from the very beginning of being offered something and you're feeling capable or incapable of perhaps following through, or maybe there's so many unknowns that you can't get behind it. And this happens to a lot of people who could be incredibly successful. However, they just can't get behind it because there are too many unknowns that they can't answer, too many questions they can't answer. When someone they respect, I'm using quotes right now, air quotes, when someone they respect and cares about them, that they go to pitch the idea, literally, pours cold water all over the hot idea. It's some people, and this is I talk about thought viruses all the time because I come across them all the time. My friend that talked about initially, I started out talking about his mother and his uncle plant thought viruses in his mind about what he's capable of. And then I turn around and have to dispel those thought viruses. I have to let him know that they are thought viruses and that only you can decide and know what's right for you and not someone else. And that there are always competing motives, right? When you're asking somebody who you care about whether the dream you want to go after is viable, what do you expect them to say? They're not you, number one. And number two, they're going to give you an answer that is fraught with their own insecurities, their own failures in life, their own experiential wisdom, whatever that wisdom happens to be. And it's not yours, it's theirs. That's the answer you're going to get. It's going to be layered with that. And that's going to be that's where that answer is going to emanate from. Because they don't know you, really, or what you're capable of, or what your future could be. They don't know that. Most people don't even know that themselves. But we go out on a limb to say, I'm going to try. I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to make this attempt. I don't like to use the word try, by the way. It's the Yoda thing, kind of. You don't try, you do or you don't. But you attempt. You make an attempt. To me,
I just watched
attempt is better than try.
Yeah, you're right.
You did. It's awesome.
I did. I just saw it. Yep, I did. And there's a quote. I just want to read this to you because it's in alignment with what you said. And it's excuses don't linger long unless you give them permission. How powerful is that?
Yeah, you give them life. You give your worst fears life. You give the unknown life. And that life is made up because you really don't know. You have no clue. You're just making it up as you go along. Why don't you make up make up the best possibility versus the worst. That's just what I say.
That makes
why
my
not?
heart
You got
shine.
a choice.
I love that.
Yeah. You got the choice. Make up the best outcome instead of the worst. The most positive outcome possible. Because if you don't, then you never know where you will be, and your circumstances will always rule you. They will always rule you. If it never ceases to amaze me at how many people. What never ceases to amaze me is how many people I know that I've come across or that I've read about or I've seen who have defied their circumstances. I don't even know why this is a thing. It shouldn't be a thing to defy your circumstances. There are people who, we have a big chasm between those who have and those who have not in this country. That chasm's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. However, the one thing that stands true about this country more than any other country in the world, and I've lived all over the world, I've traveled all over the world, the one reason everybody wants to come to America is because of what your grandfather experienced. Got off the boat with $25. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't, there's no caste system here. Mm-hmm. If you get off the boat with $25 and you spend $10 buying a shoe shine box and all the stuff, you can get on a corner and shine shoes and make a living in this country. Mm-hmm. And you can extrapolate that out to anything you want. We had, I don't know if it was us. I have so many different things that I do, but I think we had a conversation earlier in the year. You did a show earlier in the year based on a woman who had, and I know you're going to remember who this is. She came here with absolutely nothing. Oh no, she was a woman who made it. Who went up the ladder in a company. She got off the boat and got a job. Here we go. It's coming back to me now. She got off. It was a friend of
mine's. Yeah, you're right. It was a friend of mine's mother who passed away. Mm-hmm.
Right. It got a great story. It's like she got off the boat, had to borrow money. She had fruit. She couldn't bring the fruit. She had nothing to eat. She borrowed some money from the steward on the ship or somebody on the ship and said, "I'll pay you back." And they said, "Yeah, sure, right." Yeah, okay. And she went off and got a job and got a place to live. 3 jobs. Yeah, they just got job and job and job. If you got nothing but time on your hands, why not work, right? Mm-hmm. If you need to establish yourself, that's what you do. I even had 3 jobs one time. I was working in a mall with 3 different retailers. Yeah,
I did too.
And people today would go, "What do you mean you did that? When did you?" Yeah. Look, I got off at 3 there, and I went downstairs and I worked over there till 9 o'clock, and then I came back the next morning at 9, and I worked there till 1 or till 3, and then I went over there and I worked. That's what you do, and when you need to. And the story about this woman was so phenomenal, and I say that and I use her as an example because it's the ultimate unknown when you get thrust into a situation where you have to succeed. You must succeed. You have no other choice. Mm-hmm. You just must succeed. And in order to succeed, you have to believe in yourself and believe that you can succeed. That is the whole idea. You have to trust your decisions. Keep making these choices and trust those choices and trust that you're making the right choices and that you're honoring how you feel. And if you don't feel good about the choice you made, at some point, you may want to make a different choice. That choice, not feeling good about the choice, maybe you have to determine whether it's fear that's causing that discomfort. Is it fear of the unknown that's causing that discomfort? Are you making it up in your own mind because you've never done it before? What you're being asked to do, what you're being asked to learn, or is it because there really is inherent danger in whatever it is that you're doing? And that's the quagmire that you're always in. And because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're putting yourself in danger. physical harm, mental harm. When you're, because you can go to work for somebody who is abusive, not physically, but verbally abusive, and in that kind of environment, how are you going to succeed when the person who's above you is verbally abusive or perceives you in a certain way that's not going to give you the opportunities that you otherwise would have if not for them? So there are choices that you have to make. And my friend who I started talking about tried a lot of different things in the last year since he lost the job he really liked. Tried a lot of different things, and he's finally at a spot. He told me the other day, hey, I really like what I'm doing. I really like where I am.
Wonderful.
And I said, that's absolutely wonderful. And again, I said, have you stopped for a moment to just express your gratitude to the universe for that? To say, hey, thank you so much. I'm even if it's just your higher self. Thank you so much. Thank you. I thank you, higher self, for believing in me. I thank my source within for putting this, helping me move into this situation, to let go of the things that didn't work, and then trust that something good would happen. And by the way, every time he lost one job, the next day he had another one.
That's
somebody
wonderful.
would call him.
Good for him.
This was so amazing. Yeah, I said, good news gets around. It's a small beach community. If somebody finds out you're not working, and they know what kind of worker you are, then they're going to call you. That happens every single time. And I said, stop and express your gratitude. Forgive yourself for making that choice and leaving that position that you thought you would like. You tried something you didn't like it. Forgive yourself for having to say, hey, this is not for me, and to move on to something else. These are tools. Forgiveness and gratitude are tools we have to use every day.
Fantastic
and
tools, too.
Yeah, they're the most amazing tools. And that's how I weave gratitude and forgiveness into every single day. When I have a great day financially, when I reap lots of abundance because I've done my job and I've helped somebody do something really good, I take a moment. It doesn't have to be a long moment, just a moment, just to close my eyes and say, I'm so grateful, so grateful. Thank you so much. And move on. You move on from there. Great golf shot. I said, thank you very much. Not, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. 4 words that just destroy, the energy in your future. I can't believe it. You can't. I thought somebody said that the other day. They hit an awesome shot. They go, I can't believe it. What are you talking about? You're the one who did it.
Good for you.
What can you not believe? That you had the capacity to do it? This is the thing we do to ourselves. We shoot ourselves in the foot. We ask for the best, and then we say, I can't believe it when we get the best. And we have to go, wow.
Right?
Yeah, we are worthy. Man, you're worthy of absolutely everything. Everything. You're worthy of the best life has to offer, the grandest vision you can ever freaking imagine. You are absolutely worthy of all of that. And you have to believe that every moment. You're worthy of the best relationship, not a mediocre relationship, not one that is abusive physically or mentally or otherwise. You're worthy of the best. You can control yourself. You can control you. You can make choices. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be there. You can decide where you want to be.
Right.
And it's like there's this adage that people say, oh, no, I can't leave because if I leave, I'm a failure. Well, I don't know. What is your heart telling you?
Yeah.
Is there somewhere else in life you need to be? Maybe.
That's a good question. Well, Michael, I got to tell you, I can tell you honestly that whenever I've never done something, that I've never done before, I never once regretted it whenever I would try something.
Good point.
And I would encourage our audience to please, be honest with yourself about something that's been holding you back and what it's going to take to overcome it. And if you really make a serious commitment to prioritize it. Make it a priority in your life. Don't just sort of say, yeah, okay, make a few excuses of why you can't get to it. And I just want to share something, and I actually wrote it down verbatim from this interview. Dr. Joe Dispenza recently did an interview with Jay Shetty, and Jay Shetty asked him.
Jay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the author of
I know Jay.
Think Like a Monk. Yeah. So he said, if you could give somebody some homework, what would that be, like to change their life? And he said, this is what I would do. I would ask them to do a 30-day experiment. And I wrote this down because I felt it was so powerful, and then I'd love to hear your comments. So he said, in the 30-day experiment, write down every thought that's been holding you back or standing in the way of the future that you want. And whatever they are, write down every habit and behavior that stops you from becoming the person that is healthy, wealthy, or free. And then begin to recognize the emotions that keep you in that same state of being and become conscious of the thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that won't let you be there, that stand in your way. And then write down those thoughts and emotions. And then for those 30 days, what he said to do was to, if you want to wire and fire new brain neurons, you have to look at what that behavior is and really commit to that. And then he said, and if you look at somebody that you consider to be a great person, look at their behavior and then emulate that. And I thought, wow. I mean, I would encourage, you can look up the interview. It is really fantastic. And it's something that I'm actually going to sort of embody myself. I'm going to take that 30-day challenge, and I'll let you know at the end of 30 days what I've changed. I'll keep it a secret until then. But okay. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, Michael.
Did that 35 years ago. It's interesting. What came to mind when you were saying that is one of the things, if someone had asked me that question, I'd say spend 30 days really, really digging into your inner conversation, because it's generally the self-talk, your own self-talk, that holds you back. It's very reflective of how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your life, what you feel you're capable of, and when you keep track of that conversation, how many times you use the word hard, tough, difficult, impossible, and try in relationship to yourself and what you believe yourself capable of, or actions you have to take. When you pay attention to the direction of it, whether it's positive or negative, and you then, after 30 days of writing down everything that is sort of counter to the narrative that you really want for yourself, then you move forward. Tiger Woods, best one of the best golfer of all time, I think. I used to watch interviews of him in his heyday, from the time he started out, and when he was winning all of his tournaments in his heyday. He would be in an interview. Not once, and they give interviews all the time, every day, when the tournament, whatever, and especially the majors. They're sitting in front of a bunch of reporters answering questions. Not once did he ever say anything negative about himself or his game. Never. Mm-hmm. He never.
Very
it's not
powerful.
He was in a blame game. Yeah, he never said anything negative about his game. He said that didn't go so well. That's to work on that. He didn't say I screw it up. He never said that. He never talked in terms of beating himself up. His goal was to always lift himself up. And I tell people, and I wrote the first book I ever wrote, the audiobook of the golf book, and I love it to this day. And people listen to it, just, they're like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. I never looked at golf from that perspective of being like life. And I would say, you can't be Tiger. You're not going to hit the shots that he's hitting. I can use can't in that context because he started at 3 years of age, okay? And you're 40. Not going to happen, okay? You don't have those years in front of you, those impressionable years. You don't have the same circumstances, the same teacher, blah, blah, blah. So technically what you can do. Forget about you can't do. What you can do every time you step onto the course, before you go to the course, your routine, your thought process, you can think like him. Nothing is preventing you from adopting his mindset, his state of being, right? The can do, never say anything negative about yourself. Don't blame the ball. Don't blame the circumstances. Don't blame the wind, the weather, other people. You know, Tiger had to play through people taking all kinds of noise, people taking pictures of him. His dad, when he was hitting golf balls, used to make noise at the last moment. I mean, just any kind of noise to try and distract him. So his dad, when he was very young, ingrained a sense of focus in him. That's how he was able. Now, it didn't always work, because sometimes the noises would be at the wrong time. I mean, 4 hours is a long time to focus and concentrate. I can tell you that.
Sure.
And these guys play for 5 hours. Okay, it's a long time to focus and on your physicality, your mental state of being, to maintain a certain frequency in the higher elevated frequencies. This is a challenge, just like life. You know, it's a challenge because there are circumstances you're always putting yourself in that you created, that you have to get yourself out of. And so I love this 30-day experiment. I want you to do it, and I want you to then come on and tell people, hey, this is it. I'm always examining my habits, by the way. My life is a process of examination. Thoughts, behaviors, habits. I look at them, and I'm always examining those three things in my life. It's like it's because my mindset is more about how I can help others. Mm-hmm. What is it about this? How can I apply what's going on with me to help someone else? And what would I do? I mean, if I changed something, I did something different, then how can I encourage other people to this? What can I tell them? What kind of life moves can I help them adopt or make that can make that shift for them? You only have to shift your life journey by 1 degree. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do it. It's not a 100-degree thing. It's just 1 degree. Because it's just like you being a pilot. If you go 1 degree off course, you end up thousands of miles away from where you intended. But you can use that to your advantage. You can, with intention, purposely make a 1 degree change in your life. And you'll see the difference that it makes almost immediately, but you will end up in a completely different place. As a matter of fact, it's likely that your family and friends will start talking about how different things are with you. And you have to then deal with the fact that your friends especially don't want to lose you. If they're not making the same decisions in their life, it is possible that you'll have to deal with letting them go, because they're unfortunately holding you back because they don't want to make changes in their own life. And that's a big challenge for many people. You are who you're with is what I tell people. You are who you're with. Literally. I learned that in high school more than anything else. You are who you're with. And if you're running with the crowd that's devil may care, who taking drugs and changing, having alternative ingredients manage their state of being without a look into the future, and if that's who you're with and you're participating in that behavior, then you will experience the same thing that they're experiencing. And if you want to be something different, then you have to meet different people. Put yourself in a position to meet different people. Number one, it starts inside of you. You'll attract different people. You'll attract the circumstances. When you change, your life changes. Your inner world changes, your outer world changes as a consequence of that. And instead of the other way around, people try to change their outer circumstances, but they never change themselves. And if that's the case, then you're not committed. And your outer world will simply continue to reflect what it is that you feel about yourself. That's pretty much it. And so whether you're looking for love in your life, whether you're looking for a great career, whether you're whatever it is that you're looking to do, friends, you want, friends in a place that you've moved to for the first time, you've got to look at how you think about yourself, what you're thinking about yourself. You'll attract the right circumstances for you to help you continue to evolve and grow, or not, depending on what's going on in the 5 inches between your ears.
Right.
It's been a fun conversation. I know we're going to be coming close to the end.
It is, and it's so much ties into anything that might seem impossible. In order to achieve your dreams, it's very important to try new things, and that's really, we're here to support you through our words. Hopefully, there's some nugget of information that you can hold on to, and that maybe can bring something new that you've never done before into your life, and you'll feel a sense of accomplishment. I hope you do.
Yeah.
And, I'm so grateful, Michael, for this. Yeah, go ahead, please, and then I'll let you close out the show with that challenge.
I'll with this. Challenge yourself, listeners. Challenge yourself to do just one thing that's new to you, that you hadn't done before. Just start small with anything, something you've never done before. Instead of washing your body with your left hand all the time, just try doing it with the right. Start small and see how you feel. That's all I can say. But it works. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll catch you next week on Connect 11. Thank you so much to Jesse at the station for making this all possible. I'm grateful to you, Michael, and to all of our listeners. Enjoy a great week.
All right.